You know, we used to come to Kendenup. We lived in Kendenup there, and other children that we used to come out to this type of country a lot, especially where the Yates is. You can see that this was always waterlogged, and but there used to be jorgies in there, and that's where we used to find jorgies. And so there was food all over the place, and then in the deeper waters where the turtles used to be. So, but we used to know that we can find jorgies here, and the soil used to be always moist, because way back then we used to have thunderstorms every couple of weeks, and that we used to have downpours, but that was, you know, just to fill up places like the sea with water to keep it moist for the jorgies and things. But yeah, this kind of environment around here, and I'm looking at those little stones there, well, like little kids could have easily carried them there, come looking for jorgies, and just dropped them, and and that's where we can find them today. It's just the thought, you know, that the kids, because it would have been kids, because we used to just put our hand down the hole and get the jorgie out, and that's how we used to be able to catch our jorgies, and yeah, so this place here, just do all your medicines out there, and all your wood is so perfect, you know, take you back in time. And that's all we had was just a bush, and the food that we found in the water and on the ground and under the ground to keep us alive. And just your mind can just go back to the thousands of years where that's all they had. You know, never had any shelter, just had a fire for their light, fire for warmth, and the bush for shelter, and such a wonderful time they would have had.
Hopefully in time that our Aboriginal people understand that our earlier leaders moved as one, and they all roamed this area together. So I believe that Noongar country belongs to all Noongars. I'd like to see the elders of our Noongar country have more say, and hopefully the younger people will listen.
Oh, my name's Caroline Narkle. I was born and reared in Narrogin, but I moved to Mount Barker because I was taken away when I was 5 to Wandering Mission. Grew up with Waitlin nuns and sisters and brothers, and been there till 1969. I was 5 when I was taken. But 1969 I come home to Mount Barker, and I lived down there for all the rest of my life. And all these surveys that we're doing is learning me a lot about the land and animals and stuff like that. But it's very interesting to know the knowledge of your land, because you know where you come from then. It was very hard for us to learn at an early age, because we never knew about these things, being brought up in a white man's world. And then when I got back, we lived in the reserve at Mount Barker, and Mum and my brother used to take us around bush and go camping and sightseeing around the place. The hills were very interesting, the Stirlings. We used to go out there a lot. And we used to yarn about all the things about the old fellas, and they were good old days.
Yeah, well, my connection to country and culture started way back in the 80s, 90s. You know, as a stolen generation survivor, coming out the other side and reconnecting to family and culture and stories and connections. And then going back into education through TAFE, becoming educated, and then engaging in caring for country through South West Catchment Council, where I was based in Koorabup. That engaged me with a lot of elders in the region who I was engaging with, and wasn't too much communication. It was just listening to their stories and that cultural connection and the importance and significance of the environment, and especially environments like this. You know, we talk about the connectiveness of the biodiversity and the ecological footprint. Well, we just seen some examples as we came in with those rocks back there that Paul was talking about, you know. And then we come to a site like this and just reflect out and look over the lake and sitting in silence, just reflecting and listening to that breeze. You know, back then, pre-European settlement, this place here would have been a, you know, not a 7-Eleven store, but a supermarket for the Aboriginal people who were travelling through, you know. So ever since becoming involved in caring for country through SWIC, it enabled me to reconnect to who I was and what my purpose had to be in regards to sustaining culture and even working in collaboration with elders within the regions and hearing their stories, as well as outside agencies, you know, like Green Skills, South Coast NRM, Gondwana Link. It's all a part of that re-strengthening our spirits, because when we talk about family, you know, everyone who our elders engaged with and made contact with, they always mention that family is the strength. It's our mort, and that's what part of our culture is, travelling in family kinship structures, and that's exactly what this. When we talk about our spirituality, this is it here, what we're sitting right in the middle of, you know. The spiritual connection is the mort of this environment, because that's our mort as well as our physical family as well. So it's not only spiritual, but it's strong and engaging and healing at the same time.
Over the last couple of weeks, we have been carrying out archaeological survey over parts of the reserve and at Tootanellup. What we are looking for as archaeologists is physical evidence on the ground of material that people left behind in the past, and that's usually in the form of stone tools and scarred trees. We haven't found any scarred trees in this immediate area, but we have found some stone tools. In terms of artefacts, you know, and diagnostic things on stone tools, this has everything that we look for on a stone tool. It's a quartzite material. It's got these bulbs and everything. I don't know if Mike can see that, but it's got a curved top, and it's got a top where it would have been hit that we call a platform.
Yeah.
And you can see that it's just broken a bit at the bottom. But I don't think they would have used this as a tool, but they would have knocked it off a larger piece of rock as they were making something else.
It all depends what they'd have been making, yeah.
Yes, but you know, this could have been a point or something, or a little blade or something, and then it's just broken off through use and they've thrown it away.
Yeah.
And it's just left itself there. But this is good quality material, not from this environment. So there's been a gap of time over when they were making stone tools to the present, and we see this in a lot of archaeological sites, that over time they do get spread out and they become a little bit more sparse. but enough to find a few pieces. I think we found about 8 or 9 pieces around this larger Yate woodland open cleared area, and to us that shows that people were here in the past using the resources that are here at the lakes.
And where the farm is over there, that wouldn't have been there back then, you know. I mean, I'm not talking about just back before the 60s, before they actually cleared the land. I mean, Aboriginal families would have camped so far away from the water source and the food source simply because they knew that there were other animals that needed the water resource as well. So they could get them. Kangaroos, you know, possums. I mean, and not even dare say dingoes were pretty plentiful back then as well, you know. That's why I'm saying different family groups would have camped in different sides of the lake system, so that everybody could, you know, utilise that resource from the lake. That's why environments like this is totally empowering and significant for our connection, so that it identifies who we are, and we know who we are and where we come from, you know. Most of our history has been documented and put away in cabinets, not to be seen, you know. But through our cultural protocols and storytelling, you know, that's handed down through men and more importantly women, passing on that knowledge, was totally paramount until the stolen generation intervened and tried to you know, stop that. But most of us who've been in the mission sites, the trees and the bush and the birds of that site sustained our mentality, you know, because we were closer to country and family than what we thought visually, spiritually. We were connected.